This trip we decided to stay at Coronado Springs for the second time. Last time we stayed in the tower with a water view and it was wonderful. The rooms are big, pretty, and new. If you want to learn more about the rooms in the Grandestino Tower, check out my video from last year. I'll link it above and in the description. At the time of this trip, staying at a deluxe resort offered extended evening hours, but it didn't seem worthwhile to spend the extra money on deluxe when the extended evening hours are so limited to certain days and certain parks. Plus, our kids get up early and can't handle staying up too late. So deluxe was off the table, although I do love Beach and Yacht and the Wilderness Lodge. So another time, I guess. Coronado Springs is such a beautiful and relaxing resort. It's really underrated and was a great choice for us this trip. It feels like a deluxe with a moderate price. This time, we stayed in a regular room in the cabanas section. I'll try to make a video to compare the regular resort rooms to the tower rooms at some point. Both are great. We planned for 2 park days. Our first day was at Magic Kingdom on a Tuesday. When I booked this trip, you could still buy Genie Plus in advance and for the length of your trip. I don't love that we have to basically pay for the same old FastPass system, but it is what it is. For my family, we like to splurge in any way we can to avoid lines. I was a master at FastPass, and this was my first time using Genie Plus. I was nervous that I was going to mess it up, so I studied up, watching a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it well. The time spent doing this was well worth it. We were able to ride 13 rides, have a sit-down lunch, take a resort break, see the fireworks in a great spot, and ride rides all the way until park close. A first for us. Okay, back to booking Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes that first morning. I had to consider which order to book rides since we planned to buy an individual lightning lane for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train to maximize our short line goals. I thought about getting my husband involved on his phone booking at the same time as I was booking, but it seemed too complicated to explain to him what my brain would do if he hit a roadblock. I got up around 6:45 and checked my phone connection. I had a strong signal, so I felt confident about that. When Rise of the Resistance opened up a little while back, I learned the tip not to use Disney Wi-Fi since everyone else is trying to book the virtual queue on Disney's Wi-Fi at the same time. So I turned it off. This technique has always worked for me. I also went back and forth about whether we should start our Genie Plus rides first thing in the morning or stack rides in the afternoon. I chose to start using Genie Plus first thing in the morning, figuring we would get more rides in this way. It really worked out. A minute or two before 7, I started refreshing the page. Right at 7, I was able to book our first Genie Plus ride, which was Space Mountain. We got 9:20, which was a great start. Immediately, I moved over on the app to buy the individual lightning lane for Seven Dwarfs and bought it for $12.30. Since we were staying on Disney property, we were able to get into the park a half hour early for early entry and planned to hit whatever rides had short lines at rope drop. First stop was It's a Small World at 8:45. It had a 5-minute queue, which was actually a walk-on. I had hoped we might be able to get on Peter Pan's flight with a short wait, but the line was already very long, even though the app said it wasn't. We got off Small World and walked over to Space Mountain for our first official Genie Plus ride. At this point, I should mention that I get extremely motion sick, so before we left the resort, I took 2 chewable children's Dramamine. That's all I had, and hoped for the best. Space Mountain really makes me sick, but not this time. Dramamine works, and it was a success. We tapped into Space Mountain right at 9:20 and were on the ride almost immediately. Right after I tapped in, I checked Genie Plus for our next ride, and we booked Haunted Mansion for 11 a.m. Next up, we made a quick stop at Joffrey's for a delicious mocha latte, and then walked over to Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. No Genie Plus needed, as the theater holds so many people. Next, we strolled over to Haunted Mansion. There was a little bit of wait at the lightning lane. We tapped in and were on the ride by 11:20. Next up was Under the Sea for 11:40. We tapped in at 11:35 and rode right at 11:40. We love this ride even though it's not the most popular. I got our next Genie Plus, which was the Barnstormer for 11:25. We tapped in at 11:19. We got rejected, waited 1 minute, and then got the green Mickey. We were on the ride by 11:25 and off by 11:26. It's a short one. In the meantime, I booked Genie Plus for Buzz Lightyear at 12:35, which we never rode before, so the kids were excited to try something new. Before Buzz, we had our individual lightning lane for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which we had not been on since our first family trip in November 2018. We tapped in at Seven Dwarfs at 12:36 and rode at 12:42. Such a fun little roller coaster. Remember, if you are booking Genie Plus or individual lightning lanes or even a virtual queue, you have a 1-hour return time. It's actually a little longer since you can check in 5 minutes early and they will give you a few minutes grace period if you are late too. Side note, we were about 15 minutes late for our virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy that week, and they let us in no problem. More about that in my Using Genie Plus at Epcot video. We headed over to Buzz Lightyear and tapped in at 12:55 and rode at 1:05. The kids loved it because they also love Toy Story Mania over at Hollywood Studios, which is very similar. At this point, we were really hungry. We had breakfast in the room. I bring lots of food since we drive to Disney, and I like to save money. We generally don't make too many table service reservations as the spending can add up very quickly. On this day, though, I thought it would be nice to sit down in the air conditioning midday since it was so hot. We had a reservation for lunch at the Plaza restaurant for $125. We showed up early, so we had to wait a few minutes. Not too long, though. Because we bought Genie Plus, the kids figured out that we had a bunch of funny camera filters. While we waited for our lunch, we played around with the filters and took some really silly pictures. I thought the food was good, everyone was satisfied. Liz was our server, and she was super sweet. When we were done with lunch, we walked out of the restaurant in perfect time for the parade. What a great spot to watch, too. It really was unbelievable how it worked out. I forgot to mention that when we tapped in for Buzz Lightyear, I was able to get a Genie Plus for Pirates of the Caribbean at 3:10. Kind of amazing considering our lunch reservation time and then the parade. The timing was excellent. We tapped in at Pirates at 3:37 and rode at 3:46. Luckily, I got a Genie Plus for Peter Pan's flight at 3:55 while in line for Pirates. That's a hard one to get, so we were really lucky. We tapped into Peter Pan at 4:09 and rode at 4:15. This was another ride that we had not been on since our first trip in 2018. Very cute. At this point, we were hot and tired and made the unusual decision to head back to the hotel for a quick dip in the pool and to come back for fireworks. I got us a Genie Plus for Splash Mountain at 8:20 before we left the park. We made a quick stop at the confectionery on Main Street for a treat before heading to Bus Stop 11 for Coronado Springs at 5:30. After a lovely time at the pool, we changed clothes and got back on the bus for Magic Kingdom. What a different feeling to take the bus in the evening, and also very refreshing to take a break. When we got into the park, we realized that Splash Mountain was closed, and we had been given a lightning lane to use on whatever ride we wanted, except Seven Dwarfs, I think. We booked another Genie Plus for Big Thunder Mountain at 8:30, tapped in at 8:25, and rode at 8:35. Booked another Genie Plus for 9:45 at Tomorrowland Speedway. So then we found a spot for the fireworks at 8:50, slightly to the right of the castle and not too far back. To be honest, I really don't know how we ended up in this awesome spot, but we were having some real luck that day. My husband and son decided to go ride some rides during the fireworks, but my daughter and I stayed to watch. It was just simply beautiful. I don't know what it was, if it was our amazing location or just that it was a special moment with my daughter and I, probably the latter, but we really enjoyed it, the best one yet. After the show, we met my husband and son at the Speedway and tapped in at 9:42, rode at 9:47. We ran over to Splash Mountain because it opened up, and they honored our Genie Plus from earlier. We rode Splash Mountain at about 10:20, the latest we ever stayed at the park. Another good tip is to screenshot all of your Genie Plus, individual lightning lanes, reservations, both from the hotel, the restaurants, just in case there's a glitch in the system and anything disappears somehow. Finally, we strolled through the park, down Main Street, and over to the buses. One was waiting for us and we walked right on. It was a quiet and happy ride back to the resort. What an awesome day. A total success. So, how did we have this level of success? You know, it takes a lot of planning these days for Disney trips. It's almost too much, especially if it's all new to you. I've been planning Disney trips for my family since 2018, and I really enjoy it at this point. It's like a challenge, a puzzle. I have way too much Disney information in my head, and I love to share it. I chose Magic Kingdom for that particular Tuesday for a few reasons. One is that weekdays are generally less crowded than weekends. Two, most kids were in school at this time. And 3, there were no extended evening hours that night, so deluxe guests might choose a different park. That's basically how I decided to go to Magic Kingdom that day. With all of that, I figured we would have a good chance of doing well with Genie Plus. And I think we did. We had a super busy day, but also super fun. My kids were able to keep up, and we sure had a good night's sleep that night. Plus, I had planned a resort day for the next day, so we could rest up for Epcot on Thursday. Wait until you see how Genie Plus worked at Epcot. Wow. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you learned a thing or two. And don't forget to bring your external battery charger and your charging cords to the parks each day, and charge everything again at night. Check back for my Using Genie Plus at Epcot video. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching.